Shalom, shalom, it's the brother Kadash. I want to start off by giving our praises to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahushai Bahashim, Rakah Kodash. This says, man says Tesla locked him out of car until he pays $26,000 battery, right? So how does this relate to the Bible? How does this relate to the truth? Well, it relates because it relates to the world and where the world is heading. You know, the whole beast system, the beast system, the mark of the beast and everything. This is just like an eye opener, you know, just because, you know, you have some people that are going to take the mark of the beast and are going to follow the ways of the world. You know, 1 John 2, follow not the ways of the world, you know, roughly paraphrasing, love not the world, right? But it relates to the truth because we know with their new system, it's all about what? It's all about control, you know, and when they get the control, they gonna use things like this, you know, that whole system where it's electric, the internet of all things, whatever you want to call it, you know, what is CDCs, what is it called? Central Digital Banking, something, whatever it's called, you know what I mean. But, you know, the whole digital coins and the digital currency, and that's going to get them control, man. And the mark of the beast, which is the micro implant chip, that's going to get them control over the people, you know. So if you don't do what they, and that's the scheme, right? If you don't do what they want you to do, they're going to be able to turn you off, lock you out of things. They want you to get that chip. They're not satisfied with the power that they have. They want to have godlike power. They want to be able to have control over your life pretty much, right? That's why when it speaks in Revelations 13 about the chip, it's talking about, you know, you ain't going to be able to buy or sell unless you take that mark of the beast, you know. And that's how we could clearly see that the mark of the beast is the chip. You know, I 100% believe that, and it's very clearly easy to see because that's how they're going to get their power over the people. And that's how they're going to make you choose between the Lord, the only one true Lord, right? And making Esau your master. You know, you cannot serve two masters, so you're going to have to choose because you're going to need that chip in order to buy or sell. Now, speaking of that chip, which is the mark of the beast, that's also in cars and stuff like that. So now they're going to electric cars, electric everything, right? And they're going to be able to have control of you where you can't use your car unless you make payments, you know. Now imagine the control of that, right? If you they come with a social credit score, right? If you're not being a good citizen and going along with the government or what Esau's saying, they could lock you out your car. They could shut you down for a week. You can't drive for a week, shut you down for 2 weeks. So it's pretty much making you like a fucking kid. You see what I'm saying? Now this says, man says Tesla locked him out of car until he pays for 26,000 batteries. So in his case, he had to pay for a new battery, and the battery cost $26,000. You know, it says a Canadian man went viral after claiming the battery in his $140,000 Tesla died, and that the replacement would cost $26,000. Right now it says Zalea video comes just weeks after disgruntled Tesla owner in Norway carried out a hunger strike. See, some of their complaints include poor customer service, bubbles in seats, and rust. Right? It says in July, Tesla was forced to reimburse the German customers. You know, I'm just trying to get straight to the point, which is let me see, right here. Right? It says last year, the Finnish man went viral for blowing up his Tesla after he refused to purchase a new battery for $23,000. So it's just different examples, right? It says after being told the battery was, you know, 8 years old, they're saying that recalls are needed. And they're pretty much just mad at the technology, right? Esau's rushing this thing, and really his technology is horrible, but he's really copying off the Lord. So what you see in the world today is everything that Esau is doing, it's really just a carnal copy of what is written in the Bible, which are the prophecies of what the Lord's going to do. You know, we got a glorious kingdom that awaits for us, right? And then you see all these other nations trying to build that kingdom for themselves, you know, like Dubai. That's just them trying to build that kingdom for themselves. Some of the biggest cities in America, all over the world, you know, they're trying to build that kingdom for themselves. You see that Yahushua said we're going to have everlasting life. So you see Esau's trying to merge man with robots or AI technology in order to give them that godlike power. If he can't do it that way, then he has a backup plan, which is the metaverse, which if he could just download your consciousness into into the metaverse, and then you could live forever inside this metaverse. You know, your family, your loved ones and stuff, when they pass, they could live there, and then they could develop bodies later on and download that consciousness into these new bodies. And you kind of see that in the movie Avatar. I think Avatar 2 about to come out in probably like a month or two, right? And you could kind of see they desires, they put it right in front of your face, you know. So with the avatar, you could change into those pretty much super strong bodies, the avatar bodies, and they could download your consciousness into it, and you could control it. So that's the technology that Esau's trying to come with. This 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11 says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So, you know, we're not ignorant when it comes to, that's very popular precept too. We're not ignorant to when it comes to this. So when you see things like this, you know to stay away from that shit. Yeah, the technology is, at sometimes, that's the temptation. It's very tempting, you know, because I like to race cars, right? So when you race cars, things break, you know. All type of things break, you know. You got to change out fluids. You got fluid lines, like coolant lines, and that burst. You got different parts: alternator, battery, camshafts, crankshafts, superchargers. You know, engine, and engines, and you know your engine. You got head gaskets and blocks and all that shit could break, right? So when you look at an electric vehicle, you looking at something with no maintenance. You ain't got to change no fluids. You ain't got to get no oil changes, no fluid, no coolant lines, none of that. You ain't got to worry about, like, your engine blowing up, exploding, a cylinder head, a misfire. You ain't got to worry about none of that shit with an electric car. It's just a battery, and it's going to do what it's going to do in any type of weather. And that's another thing. Like, you know, your car, you got a fast car, it may be fast in the fall time, but in the summertime it may be a little bit slower because it's too hot. And then if you run it back to back, it could heat soak, and then your performance go down. With these electric cars, that's the temptation. It's like, it's damn near like godlike power. Because look, if you was to take a Tesla, right, all electric car, right, that's super fast, right, especially the fastest one, the Plaid, right, and if you was to take that, and let's just say you take that back to, I just throw it up 2000s, right? Now imagine 2000 Corvette or something like that compared to what that Tesla is doing. That didn't look like alien technology. So it's the same thing with the chariots and Esau's technology. You know, he has his fighter jets and stuff like that. When you compare to the power that the Lord has, which is, man, we can't even put a time period of how more advanced it is than Esau's technology. Yeah, it's gonna look like magic, you know, it's gonna look like godlike power, right? Well, it is God power, you know, but that's the thing, you know, that's the temptation. When you start seeing these things, this is how it relates to the Bible. You say, man, damn, I want to get me an electric car, man. I ain't gotta worry about no fuel prices be going up and down. You say, damn, man, I ain't gotta worry about no maintenance. You know, it's faster than everything else on the road. Like, that's the temptation. That's how they gonna come at you with the chip, man. That chip, man, when they come with that chip, man, shit's gonna get strange. Shit's gonna get very strange, man, because you gonna see people doing shit that you can't do as being a regular human. I'm talking about with, you know, the chip in the head, the forehead, and Elon Musk and working on it. You're gonna see people being able to download information at a split second and be very smart, way smarter than you. You're gonna see people being able to break down things. You're gonna see people being able to see in the nighttime with that technology. You look up the lens. It's like a lens that they got, like a special lens or something like that with a chip in it. And it goes over your eyeball, and it kind of gives you like godlike powers, you know. You're gonna see people being able to just pay for things by scanning a hand. You know, they don't have to pull out cash or a credit card. They just walk by it. You're gonna see a lot of things that's gonna freak you out, and you're gonna be like, damn, but that's that temptation. You know, when you hungry and you ain't living that high lifestyle, you know, it's gonna be very tempting for you to just say fuck it and go get it, man. You're gonna see them all over there in Dubai with it. You're gonna see them all over there in Africa with it. South Africa, Johannesburg. You're gonna see them all over there in Israel with it. You're gonna see them all over there in Tokyo. With everybody got the chip. You're gonna see it all over here in America, Mystery Babylon, Vegas, Florida, New York, Cali. You're gonna see everybody getting it, man. It's gonna be the cool thing to do. It's gonna be the beautiful thing to do. Now, when you put that together, that should tell you right there that we still got time. Now, ain't nobody saying that you should be looking at like, no, you still should be hastening the day. You feel me? But for all that to happen and build like that, there's still a lot of time left, man. I know brothers be like, man, this thing could happen in a year. This thing, man, look, it could be 5 years. That's what I think. Something like that. But at the same time, you must always keep the saying, how the saying goes, no man knows the day or the time. So it could happen tomorrow and it could happen in a year, and that's very true. And it could happen in 5 years. Shit, it could happen in 10 years, you know what I mean? The shit could speed up, but we got to see that chip. That's one thing that we do know, the prophecy. We got to see that chip. We got to see it be made popular, and we got to see a lot of people take it. But that don't mean that something may not happen and collapse society, and then they may bring back a system, and you may have people that's going to go run to get that help and getting the chip, and then you might have people on the outside, like in kind of in the wilderness, like Judah Maccabees, in the wilderness that us pretty much they ain't take the chip and don't want to be a part of them. You can have that too, and that can happen in a year. That can happen in a year. That can happen in 6 months, with especially what's going on right now with the war. But whenever it happens, you just got to remain true at the end of the day, remain faithful, you got to remain faithful at the end of the day, because we seeing these things starting to come, but this is Psalm chapter 10 verse 1 says, why standest thou far off, O Lord? Why hidest thyself in thy time of trouble? Yeah, I don't care how strong you is. All of us that said that at one point in time. We all done been like, man, why the Lord just don't come back, man? We been out here pushing, why the Lord don't come back and just go ahead and end it, man? Look, I remember before the pandemic, 2019, the end of 2019, right? And then all that stuff happened and there was shutdowns. Brothers was out here talking about like, man, it's over with. I don't see it going no further than a year, right? That was in 2019, right? Brothers was like, man, I don't see it going no further than a year, a year, maybe 2 years. I was in 2019. It's the end of 2022. You see what I'm saying? So that they was wrong. So you just never know, man. I remember the whole Trump versus Biden thing. I remember brothers getting on videos and swearing up and down. Not really swearing up and down, but they was putting faith into it. They was saying, look, and I personally believe that Trump gonna get back in the office. And then Biden got in the office. You see what I'm saying? So, man, look, you just stay with the scriptures pretty much, and that's always gonna do you well, You just stay with what the scriptures say, Verse 2, it says, the wicked in his pride does persecute the poor. And by the way, the scriptures don't give you an actual date, so you just stay that way and you'll be good. The wicked in his pride does persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. So this electric vehicles and all that shit. Now you see Dodge, they new Challenger is an electric vehicle now. You see Maserati coming out with a very fast car, and it's all electric. And man, that motherfucker's bad. That's a bad car. You see Audi, you see Mercedes. They all coming with these electric cars. BMW coming with the hybrids, gas and electric. They gonna go fully electric pretty soon. You know what I mean? Same thing with your big Ferrari, Lamborghini, all of them. So you can kind of tell that's where the world is going, right? So this is a device that they have imagined, because they're gonna be able to control those cars just by hacking into the system whenever you driving it. They're going to be able to shut you down if you don't make payments. They're going to be able to track you in those things. And this is how they're going to persecute the poor, man. It says, for the wicked boasts of his heart's desire and blesses the covetousness who the Lord hearteth. Like we just was talking about the movie Avatar. That's their heart's desire, is that they could live forever, that they could change and get those spiritual bodies like 1 Corinthians chapter 15 speaks about. But they're not going to get it. But they want it, though, They didn't want Queen well, I got a shorty for that, but they didn't want shorty over there in England. Well, was in Britain. They didn't want her to go. They wanted her to live forever. So they trying to figure that out, but they can't, man. It says the wicked through his pride of his countenance will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. So when they doing these things, they're copying after the Lord, but they're not trying to follow the Lord, and they're not worried about what the Lord thinks about the wicked shit they're doing. You know, it says his ways are always grievous. This is gonna be a grievous thing. This man was complaining. You know, he was locked out his car until he paid a $26,000 battery. That was grievous for him. It says, thy judgments are far above all of his sight, and all of his enemies he puffeth up at them, right? And then he puffing up at the Israelites, and he puffing up against our Lord. He can't touch our Lord, do shit with our Lord, so he gonna touch us, you know, and that goes to Matthew 24. He gonna come up against us, for the Lord's name's sake, you know. So, verse 6, it says, he said in his heart, I should not be moved, and I should never be in adversity. So he's saying, look, he always going to be at the top. He always going to be in rulership. He always going to have power. You know, who's going to challenge him? You know, who's going to step up to the plate and take Esau on? Well, it's going to be the Israelites. But, you know, the number one, Judite. And number one, the King of Kings, the Lords of Lords, the Lion of Judah. You know, Yahweh Shai. You know, and the spirit of his father Yahweh. That's who's going to step up to the plate to challenge him. It says, his mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. So he comes with these technologies to make you think like, okay, it's good. Okay, this is great. Technology, that's temptation. Oh, I should fuck with it pretty much. But the whole time it's all a plan for him to take that power and get power over you. Right? It says he sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places does he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. He did that literally. They did that many times. You know, they did that in 70 A.D. They did that. They did that in the transatlantic slave trade. They did that over here in 1500s with the Native Americans. Shit, they doing that today. Yeah, they did that. What was that 2020 George Floyd? They did that. You know. They lurking on us, you know. Their eyes is really set against us. It says, he lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He does catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. And that's why I brought up 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. Because we are not ignorant of his devices. We're not ignorant of his net that he's trying to cast, man. Sitting there setting traps for you, man. And this is a trap too. The whole digital shit, that's all a trap. That whole Bitcoin shit, that's all a trap, man. To get people, get the world used to that. They couldn't just look before, like Bitcoin or whatever coin was before that was popular. They couldn't just come out with a government digital coin, you know, a central government whatever digital coin. They had to warm the world up to it. So now the world is warmed up to it. You know, everybody knows about Bitcoin. Everybody done bought some Bitcoin at some point in time. And everybody done heard about this coin, this other coin, whatever other coin. And digital coins that been spread and said so many times. So when they come with it, people gonna be like, okay, about time. We all knew y'all was gonna come with it at some point in time. About time. You see what I'm saying? So, he trying to do things the way that the Lord does things, like, which is very gradual and long suffering, you know, and that's how Esau's trying to do it instead of just doing it all at once, you know. It says he croucheth and humble himself that the poor may fall by his strong ones, right? He said in his heart, God has forgotten, he has hidden his face, he would never see it. I'm gonna stop right there, you know. But he said, look, the Lord ain't never gonna see it, you know. Look what we did to his Israelites, to his Jews, to his chosen people, his holy people. Look what we did. He ain't gonna see it. He ain't gonna do nothing, you know. Just like it says in Isaiah 14, verse 21, prepare slaughter for them for the iniquities of their fathers, you know. They don't feel like they have to pay for what their fathers did. They don't feel like they have to pay for that. They said, well, it wasn't me. They just feel like the Lord forgot about it, you know, and the wicked things they doing, you know. But like we just said, the Lord is long suffering. 2 Peter chapter 3, roughly, yeah, that should be it. 2 Peter chapter 3, the Lord is long suffering, so he's going to get them 100%. All the prophecies will be fulfilled, but it's just not going to be fulfilled in our time. Our worldly brains, we could sit here and guess, but we all could be wrong, you know. But at the end of the day, the prophecies are going to be fulfilled. So with that, I'm going to say salvation to the elect. Shalom.